Footage Factory, my unniched, that's right, no niche YouTube channel that I created years ago to follow me in this journey we call life. Maybe I'll name this episode Footage Factory Follows Me Through Life.
Footage Factory follows me through life.
What do we have ourselves in this episode of Footage Factory Follows Me Through Life? A 351 Windsor, in which in this episode we have to decide whether we're going to rebuild this engine or throw a credit card at this 6-cylinder original TCI suspension TKX swapped 65 Mustang coupe.
Summit purchasing a turnkey Ford small block.
A Summit crate engine, maybe a small block 427. I got to devise a way to pay for this. So I'm thinking I can either beg right here or maybe create a Patreon for you viewers
To pay for my happiness, I will devise a way to turn this situation into merch, maybe a t-shirt, so that I can afford this potential 427 Windsor.
Anyways, enjoy this freaking video because I'm going to rebuild this engine and see how difficult it is before I actually make the decision on whether or not I want to buy that 427 Windsor and just have big horsepower coming out of this.
Get this damn car slapped together
So I can create content that you guys want to see.
so that you viewers can enjoy this damn YouTube channel for what it's designed to do. Entertain, I guess.
I mocked this engine up. I just see with the plastic, put the heads on. I'm gonna take the heads, manifold off. I put the crank in with some cardboard just to hold it in place. I'll remove everything. These are the bearings. I got these bolts just holding the heads on, so I'll put that back, trying to keep everything organized. And then I'm just going to start building the engine from the bottom up. Disassembling this thing. Got the heads and intake put over there. Back from the machine shop, so it should be all measured good and everything good. But I am finding a little bit of corrosion just for being here in the garage, I guess. So now we're gonna take the crank off, keep on pushing. Got the crank out. This is how it looks. This is how the block looks. We're gonna go ahead and put the bearings in. So let's go ahead and do that next. Okay, for some reason, I thought the deck had been surfaced in the machine shop. I paid them good money to do the cylinders. Gotta measure them. I'm almost to a point where I'm gonna whip out my credit card and just buy a new engine. But you know what? I'm gonna be a man. I'm gonna be a man, and I'm going to surface this thing on my own. And just like that, it's nighttime. So what we need to do is we need to start making a decision on what cam we're gonna put in, what rods, pistons, so forth. Gonna do some measurements on this. Just measure the clearance between the bearings. 20 over, I'm very happy. Now we're gonna take this plastic gauge and measure the gap in the journals, the crank journals. But I thought to myself, we need to paint this engine. I was going to do Ford blue, but why not break the internet and do alien green?
All right, now seeing how this YouTube has become my occupation, it's time for these videos to start getting to work. This bore indicator gauge, I'm now selling on my Shopify, www.productreviewdata.shop. And typically, I'd leave the link in the description, but I'm gonna try to sync up my YouTube shopping. It's just right there when you're watching it, either from your mobile, your TV, you can click it, so that the tools that I'm showcasing, that I'm actually using to rebuild this engine, you can purchase, you can see how they're used. And eventually, I'd like to grow my Shopify shop to sell domestic tools, domestic product, so that I don't have to rely on anybody to sponsor this channel. Now that I got the sales pitch out of the way, I'm using these shims to get the correct measurements, because what I'm trying to do is zero out the correct size within the cylinder walls. 4 inches and 20ths over is what I'm trying to achieve at the zero portion. And just before I zero out my measurement gauge, I double checked the measurement of the cylinder walls with these telescoping gauges, measured them, then used 2 separate caliper measurement tools, one digital and one analog, to verify whether they were 4 inches, but 20ths over. In which the next stage after this is to order the correct piston sizes, so that once we hold the piston into the cylinder walls, there's literally the minimum gap possible. And you'll see what I'm talking about at the end of this video. After I paint the engine, once the pistons come, but then we run into a problem, which we will have to overcome if we want to be successful with this engine build. Yeah, not bad. So that's 20 over.
All right, now what I was gonna do is I was gonna measure every single cylinder, but what I decided to do was, so I measured the first one, both sides, top, mid, low, and then I just got 4/20ths over, and then I just took the bore gauge that I did every one of them, and they were all really close to this, all 20ths over, so. All right, let's start measuring. Oh, let's pull these actually. Yeah. All right, we prepped this thing enough, so let's do some primer that we picked up from O'Reilly's. One coat.
Building my brand, my YouTube channel, my first attempt at merchandise, t-shirts. What do you guys think about this art? Alien technology for this green engine.
Next, left to order proceeding with this engine build. Pistons, which are custom order, connecting rods, and the bearings for the connecting rods. So we need to hurry up and get that on order so we can try to acquire them this year before the year end 2024. And then one more time, especially after painting the engine, we're going to need to clean, or actually before we clean the engine, we're going to need to clean the workspace, the entire garage, because these small particles getting into the engine cannot happen. We're going to need to wipe it down with an anti-lint fabric, We're going to need to wash it down, blow everything out, everything, get it as clean as possible before we start bolting down some high performance parts.
Here comes the exciting day, open boxing the connecting rods and pistons. Even took the pistons out and decided to check them against my engine to see how good my measurements were with that 20th over. The good news is the pistons fit with very little gap. The bad news, if you look at the valve reliefs, they look funny. They don't seem to match up with the heads. And I didn't notice this until I was like, oh crap, I forgot to order the piston rings. I thought they came with the kit. No big deal. Head back over to Summit, look up the pistons. And it's at that moment I realized why the valve reliefs look so funny. These pistons were made for Windsor block Cleveland head. So back to the drawing board, return these on to the next video where I use this green engine alien technology. Be sure to subscribe to see what I do with this, whether I actually build this engine up or plan B, use my internet marketing business ability to earn as much money as possible. Head back over to Summit to buy me a turnkey Ford small block. I don't know, 427, like I said earlier in the video. Something that will make Mr. Shelby proud, turning this Mustang into a track monster, able to keep up with the Porsches and the Corvettes. Maybe that's a pipe dream, but it's my dream. I invite you to come along for the ride as Footage Factory follows me through life.